Greetings to all fans of good movies. In this video, I'm going to tell you about a romantic comedy drama movie called Silver Linings Playbook.
That song is killing me. Could you please turn it off?
Baltimore, a mental institution, is where the main character, Pat Solitano, spent 8 months due to a nervous breakdown related to his wife. Despite being prescribed medication, he refuses to take it and remains constantly agitated. Believing that he can restore his mental well-being on his own, he leads an active lifestyle. One day, his mother visits the hospital to take him home. She signs the necessary papers and takes responsibility in court. In the parking lot, Pat asks if he can give a ride to his friend, who is also a patient at the clinic and has just completed his treatment. On the way, the mother's cell phone rings. The hospital staff urges her to return immediately and bring back the runaway patient she picked up in the parking lot.
It's my fault. Pat didn't know.
I'm sorry, Mom.
Pat's father is an avid national football fan who never misses a game of his favorite team. He is surprised by his son's return, since Dolores didn't warn him. During their conversation, we learn that the father recently lost his job and now makes his living betting on sports. He dreams of opening his own restaurant, but that would require winning a substantial amount of money. Meanwhile, Pat is determined to win back his ex-wife and has come up with a great plan. He plans to return to his former job at the school and read all the books his wife taught, hoping to understand her better. He also wants to improve his appearance to be more attractive to her. The father tries to convince Pat that Nikki can't come back because she has already sold their house and moved to another city. Despite this, Pat remains optimistic and determined to stick to his plan. He spends all of his free time reading the first book, but when he reaches the end, he's overcome with anger.
What the fuck? Stupid fucking book.
While still caught up in the excitement of reading, our character wakes up his parents in the middle of the night to share his negativity. In the morning, Pat's mother informs him that one of the conditions of his release is mandatory visits to a psychiatrist. While waiting at the clinic, a certain song begins to play which annoys him greatly. While talking to the doctor, we learn that this song was playing when Pat caught his wife cheating with a history teacher, which led to his violent reaction and subsequent admission to the clinic.
Mom, I don't feel good. I'm so much clearer without it.
Why's he wearing a garbage bag?
Back home, Pat tells his family that he is going jogging. The parents try to convince him not to look for his ex-wife, but the son ignores their advice. He first runs to the school where they used to work together and questions the principal. Due to a restraining order, the frightened woman cannot reveal Nikki's whereabouts. Pat then goes to his friends, where he learns that his ex-wife is still in contact with them. During the dialogue, the friends invite him over for dinner this weekend. Later, a police officer arrives at Solitano's house and reminds Pat of the restraining order that prohibits him from coming within 500 feet of the school. The officer advises him not to violate this rule in the future to avoid trouble.
If you need anything, my car.
Since when do cops have cars?
On weekend, Pat goes to his friend's house, hoping to find out more information about his ex-wife. Tiffany, the friend's younger sister who recently lost her husband, shows up at the house. The couple tries to introduce the two lonely individuals to each other. During dinner, however, they become awkward and struggle to find a common topic of conversation, with Pat constantly mentioning his Nikki. The only topic they manage to discuss is the negative effects of taking a lot of tranquilizers on their minds. Eventually, the friends realize that having dinner together was a bad idea and offer to drive the guests home. Tiffany declines and asks Pat to walk her home instead. As they silently approach her house, she boldly suggests that they go into the outbuilding to make love. Pat points to his wedding ring and firmly states that he is married and declines her advances.
So am I.
No, that's confusing. He's dead.
At night, Pat can't sleep and tries to calm himself by watching his wedding video. However, he can't find the right tape, which enrages him and leads to a fight in the house. The loud shouting prompts the neighbors to call the police, and an officer arrives to resolve the conflict. In the morning, under the control of his parents, the main character starts taking pills and then goes for a jog. On the way, Tiffany joins him, claiming that she wants to be friends. During their jog, the couple has another tense conversation.
Hey, I like to run alone. Will you stop? Okay?
What?
I'm running here.
Pat insults Tiffany, calling her a girl with loose morals. In response, Tiffany admits that she went through such a phase after her husband's death, but that she has moved on, while Pat still seems to be living in the past. Later, in a psychiatrist's office, Pat talks about the incident with Tiffany. The doctor suggests befriending her, since she also communicates with Nikki and might be able to help them reconcile. During their next run together, the couple agrees to go out to dinner. In the evening, they go to a coffee shop.
Why did you order Raisin Bran?
Raisin Bran because I didn't want there to be any mistaking it for a date.
At the table, Pat starts talking about Nikki again and expresses his desire to write her a letter, but he can't send it because of a restraining order. Tiffany volunteers to help since she sees Nikki occasionally. Our character is happy to hear this and plans to leave immediately to start writing the letter. He begins to think that the dinner with friends was a test arranged by his ex-wife, which he feels he passed. Tiffany does not deny the possibility. The conversation turns into an argument about who is less mentally unstable. The girl thinks they're both on a similar level, but Pat insists he's much better off because he hasn't had such an active sex life since the separation. These words upset Tiffany, and she refuses to hand over the letter. In response, she gets up, throws the food off the table, and walks out defiantly.
Hey, Tiffany!
Outside, the girl's behavior causes Pat to have another seizure, but when she sees how difficult it is for him, she admits her mistake and helps him calm down. On the way home, the couple reconciles and Tiffany agrees to deliver the letter to Nikki. The next morning, Pat goes to Tiffany's house with the letter, but her parents mistake him for another suitor and chase him away. Tiffany catches up with him and tells him that she wants a favor in return for delivering the letter. She is preparing for a dance competition with her husband and asks Pat to be her partner in exchange for delivering the important letter. Pat initially refuses, but eventually agrees to the arrangement for Nikki's sake.
Walk to me like I'm Nikki. Come on, do it.
Can we do something else besides the dance deal?
They start practicing together, dedicating all their free time to learning new dance moves before the competition. One day, Pat's father asks him to go to the stadium with his friends to watch his favorite team play. Solitano, sir, is very superstitious and believes that his son's presence will bring victory in such an important game. Later, Pat arrives at the girls' practice, where he receives a letter from Nikki. As he reads it, he can't hold back the tears.
Thanks for the letter. I'll see you tomorrow, okay?
The day of the game arrives. Upon entering the stadium, a fight breaks out between fans, and our character is unable to get into the game. Instead, he and his friends are taken to the police station, causing him to miss practice with Tiffany. Late in the evening, Pat arrives home. The father tells his son that their team lost, and that he bet all the money he had set aside for the restaurant to win, and now they have nothing left. The man yells at Pat, blaming him for the failure. Soon Tiffany appears in the house. She is also very angry with our character, because he broke his promise and did not come to practice. Everyone in the room is upset except Randy, who was the one who made a bet with Solitano Sr. and won a large sum of money from him. When Tiffany finds out about this, she suggests that Randy make a new double bet. Girls suggest betting against their favorite team again and also betting that both she and Pat will dance poorly at the competition and receive a score lower than 5. Randy, being a gambling man, agrees to these terms. Thinking that this arrangement is complete madness, Pat goes outside to calm down and takes the opportunity to reread the letter from Nikki. To his surprise, he realizes that the letter was actually written by Tiffany. He then goes for another jog to clear his head. Despite the revelation, he decides to continue training and agrees to take part in the bet.
Holy shit. You can give me the money now, you know?
Now it's competition day. Today is also their team's final game. At such a responsible moment, the whole family comes to cheer for their own. There are televisions in the hallway broadcasting the game, so soon everyone will know the final score. Nikki unexpectedly shows up at the event to talk to Pat and discuss possibly lifting the restraining order in the future. This news makes Tiffany angry and she goes for a drink. At that moment, the football match ends with their team winning. All that remains is one successful dance, and the bet is won. Pat finds Tiffany sitting at the bar, cocktail in hand, flirting with a stranger. He calmly walks over, takes her hand, and leads her to the dance floor. They need at least 5 points to win the bet. The couple begins their dance rather awkwardly, but in the middle, they become more energetic and playful. They end their performance with a tender embrace. The audience applauds our characters, all frozen in anticipation of the judges.
For an average score of 5.0.
The bet is won, but no one around understands why the couple is so happy about getting such a low score. Pat notices Nikki sitting at a table and decides to talk to her. Meanwhile, Tiffany can't stand the situation anymore and goes outside. She feels that the guy was just using her to achieve his goal like everyone else before him. Our character whispers something in Nikki's ear and then returns to his family. His father tells him that Tiffany has already left and advises him not to miss his chance and to make the right choice. With that, Pat hugs his father and then rushes outside after Tiffany. Standing in the middle of the street, he confesses that he fell in love with her at first sight, but that his madness kept him from realizing it for a long time. The girl reciprocates, and the two share their first kiss. In the final scenes of the film, we see Solitano's parents' house full of guests preparing to watch a football match. Pat's father has managed to open a restaurant with the money he won, and our characters are shown happy together. Thank you everyone who watched until the end. On this channel, you will always find retellings of good movies.